Hello everyone, welcome to Unacademy's YouTube channel. Now, the topic that we are going to discuss today is 9 ways to consistently prepare for UPSC. Yeah, this is the topic that we are going to discuss today. Before going on to the topic itself, since this is my first introduction on YouTube platform, let me give you a brief introduction about myself. See, my name is Arvind. I completed my BE Mechanical Engineering in about 5 years, around 5 years ago. I have almost 3 years of experience in teaching UPSC, and I have experienced all stages of UPSC civil services. My specialization subjects include polity, international relations, as well as current affairs. Yeah, so this is a brief introduction about myself. Now, let me give you a overview on a number of platforms that Unacademy provides you. See, there are two types of platforms that Unacademy provides you with. One platform is Plus subscription platform, and the next one is Iconic subscription platform. See, in both these platforms, you get access to top educators like Sudarshan Vijay, Prakash Kumar, Ayush Sangeet. See, these are top educators in India when it comes to UPSC preparation. Regardless of whether you're subscribing to Plus or Iconic platform, you get access to all their videos. So now, if you're getting access to all the videos of all educators in India, then what's the difference between Plus subscription as well as Iconic subscription? See, in case of Iconic subscription, apart from the benefits that you will get from your Plus membership, this membership, Unacademy will provide you with a personal coach who will guide you with your UPSC CSC preparation. In case of Plus subscription platform, educators will teach you on stuff, but they won't guide you personally. But in case of Iconic subscription, Unacademy will assign you a personal coach. Now that personal coach will guide you through all stages of UPSC preparation. Now this coach will steer their work and effort in the right direction so that they squeeze the maximum benefit out of you for their labor. Yeah. Now, through this program, a learner can discuss his study plan, strategy, and if you have any doubts regarding his work plan, all those things, you can discuss all your plans with your personal coach, and he will give his opinion on those study plans. Now, these coaches are some of the senior fellows who are working in an academy, and they have expertise in UPSC preparation for the past few years and have performed well in this exam. So they know all about the struggles that we will be facing during UPSC examination preparation. Then they have a lot of experience in this field, and using their experience, they will guide you fruitfully. Okay. Now, how Iconic subscription is different from Plus? See, in Plus subscription platform, it's all about teaching. Okay. But in case of Iconic subscription, in addition to teaching that the educators are providing you, Unacademy also provides you with mentorship. Clear? Unacademy Plus is more inclined towards teaching, whereas in case of Unacademy Iconic subscription, it's all about mentoring. Clear? In case of Plus platform, it's all about teaching. The role of teacher is to share their knowledge through instruction as well as explanation. Whereas in case of Iconic platform, mentoring. Mentoring is one the thing that they will do. In case of mentoring, what they will do is it will be very informal in nature. It will be very relational, so that the person who is in touch with you will be very personal, and he will act as an advisor, sharing his experience, all those things. Now, Unacademy Plus subscription platform involves lessons on a subject, including a detailed lesson plan, methods of assessment, all those things. Now, Unacademy coach will provide you with a practical insight, and he will evaluate your progress, and if you're not doing enough, he will advise you. So based on his experience, he will guide you through all stages of UPSC preparation. So if you are feeling any what to say, if you're feeling left out, or if you're feeling burnout, a lot of students feel burnout in case of UPSC preparation. If you're feeling those things, Unacademy mentor will guide you through all these things. Clear? Now, how to subscribe to Unacademy Iconic subscription platform? See, whenever you're subscribing to your platform, you'll be provided with two options: Plus as well as Iconic. Now, if you want to subscribe to Iconic platform, click on the Iconic tab, and then continue. Click on the button Continue with Iconic, and the amount charged for Iconic platform will be little bit more compared to Plus subscription platform. If you look at the rates offered by Unacademy for Plus subscription platform, these are the rates offered by Unacademy for Plus subscription platform, not for Iconic subscription platform. If you want to pay for Iconic subscription platform, the amount will be much higher. Clear? Now, on top of the paltry amount that Unacademy is charging you, if you are using my code Aravind V, you get 10% discount on all your purchases. So, for example, if you are subscribing for 6 months, so the amount that Unacademy is charging you for 6 months is 28,800. Clear? Now, if you're using my code Aravind V, you get 2,080 as offer. So you won't be paying to 28,800. Instead of that, you'll be paying an amount which is much less compared to the original amount. So don't forget to use my code Aravind V when you are subscribing to a Unacademy subscription platform. Clear? Now let's move on to the topic itself. The topic that we have concerned ourselves with today is 9 ways to maintain consistency in UPSC preparation. See, preparing for UPSC is a very difficult task as well as very easy task. Clear? Now, why am I saying that this totally completely opposite things, difficult as well as easy? Because if you study UPSC in a very rushed manner, like for example, if you are studying only UPSC only for 2 months or 1 month very hard, you won't clear UPSC. Yeah, even if you're studying for say like 16 hours a day, 20 hours a day, doesn't matter if you're studying only for 2 months or 1 month, you won't clear UPSC. The the key to clearing UPSC is for 12 months you have to study consistently. So it doesn't matter if you are studying for 16 hours or 20 hours. No human being can study for 16 hours or 20 hours. Even if you're studying for 6 to 8 hours, you have to do this part consistently over a period of 12 months. Only if you're doing this consistency part very good, only then you can clear UPSC. If you're not consistent enough in your UPSC preparation, clearing UPSC becomes a very difficult job. So now, what are the ways to maintain this consistency? What are the ways to sorry about that. So, what are the ways by which you can consistently prepare for 12 months? Now, there are certain 9 ways which I prescribe to students for maintaining this consistency. Now, those tips include the first one. First, before getting into any exam, doesn't matter if it is UPSC or banking examination or any other examination for that matter, before getting into that exam, you have to understand the examination pattern. Without understanding the pattern of the examination and what are the nitty-gritties of those syllabus that is prescribed for this examination, you cannot consistently prepare for a particular examination. And the next one is watching your routine. As I mentioned before, preparing for UPSC for a very short amount of time is not enough. You have to maintain your consistency over a longer period of time. So, if you want to maintain your consistency over a longer period of time, watching over your routine, like you have to schedule yourself what you will be doing a particular day. Without doing that, maintaining that consistency over a longer period of time becomes much difficult. The next one is practice makes everything perfect. So if you are reading for UPSC, so for example, if you have read for polity, reading polity and revising for polity is fine, but you have to test your knowledge. You have to test that whether you have learned correctly or not. All this by doing practice test. So that's why practice is very important when it comes to UPSC preparation, because when you are practicing based on your by taking actual tests, one, you are revising for those tests, you are revising the syllabus that you are taking tests for. Not only that, you get to test yourself from examination point of view. Clear? So that's why practice is very important when it comes to UPSC preparation. The next one is revision is a very important thing that in UPSC preparation. See, the syllabus of UPSC is very vast in nature. Now, if you want to study all those syllabus, it's humanly impossible if to remember all those stuff if you're studying it only for one time. So that's why revising the stuff that you have learned again and again is very important when it comes to UPSC preparation. And making my uh, prior point much clearer, UPSC syllabus is very vast. So remembering stuff is very difficult. So we have to make notes on important topics that you are learning. Clear? If you're making notes, you will remember easily on the important topics that you are learning. And if you are preparing for current affairs, keep a separate file based on date or month on which you are taking notes from. Or if you are not taking notes, if you are learning from a book, make sure that you highlight important points for when you are when you're reading for the first time, so that when you're revising that particular subject, uh, looking at those important points becomes much easier. The next one is, don't lose control of yourself. See, one of the common problem that students face when they are preparing for UPSC is they feel like they are getting burned out. They feel like they are getting burned out. So now one of the ways, so students should make priority that they don't feel themselves as burned out. So there are a number of tips that which I'll prescribe later to control yourself, to get a grip of your social life as well as personal life, so that you don't feel this feeling of burned out. Clear? Now the next one is newspaper reading. Now this newspaper reading is the fundamental when it comes to UPSC preparation. A lot of newcomers, especially for the past 3-4 years, they think that it's okay to read newspaper for first 3 or 4 months and then to rely on only compilation notes provided by IAS academies. But this approach is very wrong. I'll explain later why newspaper reading is very essential when it comes to UPSC preparation. And lastly, but importantly, stay healthy as well as stay engaged with your family and close friends. See, UPSC is just an exam. Okay, you have to put your heart out in your UPSC preparation. At the end of the day, it's just an exam. There is no reason to spoil your health and no reason to spoil your social relations just for the sake of preparing for UPSC. In fact, staying healthy and maintaining your social relations is very important when it comes to UPSC preparation. And I'll explain why this is very much important in later part of this video. Clear? Now, the first top point when it comes to maintaining consistency for UPSC preparation is, first you have to understand the pattern of UPSC examination. So, what does the term understanding the pattern of examination mean? First, you have to understand the syllabus that is prescribed by the UPSC. Clear? You have to familiarize yourself with the syllabus of UPSC, and based on the syllabus, based on your preference in that particular syllabus, make your study plan based on that. For example, there are 6 core subjects in UPSC preparation, that is polity, science and tech, environment, geography, history, economics. So these are the 6 core subjects in UPSC preparation. Now, if you are a human, you will like certain subjects, you dislike certain subjects. Clear? It's human nature. Everyone has their favorite subjects. Everyone has their least favorite subjects. So based on your favorable subjects, focus on your favorable subjects first. Clear? So that you get to familiarize yourself with the UPSC pattern better. Especially when you're coming to UPSC preparation for the first time, read subjects which are favorable to you, which you like the most, and after that structure your other subjects accordingly. Clear? So that's why familiarizing yourself with the syllabus of the UPSC pattern is very important, so that you can understand which subjects you like and which subjects you don't like, and based on that you have to prepare your study plan. Clear? So typically in UPSC preparation, students will prepare for around 10 to 12 months. Clear? So you should prepare a study plan based on number of months. So for example, for the first month, I'll be preparing for polity. Now in this first month itself, divide into number of days. For this particular day, I will read this particular topic. For this particular day, I will read this particular topic. Now if you are making a structured plan based on your preferences, preparing for UPSC becomes much easier. Now the next one is, understand what is the demand of UPSC, what UPSC expects from you. Clear? See, if you read the UPSC website clearly, UPSC mentions that the purpose of UP examination is to find individuals who need You need not have specialized in-depth understanding on topics, but rather comprehensive awareness on history, culture, geography, as well as functional aspects of India and a bit of world. So if you understand this bit, you can clearly understand that UPSC is not looking for experts in a particular subject. So if you're reading a subject like say polity, there is no need for you to go in depth on that particular subject. Just read what is prescribed for UPSC. Yeah. When it comes to general studies, having 10th plus 2 knowledge is enough. There is no need for you to get knowledge from degree level. When it comes to polity, science and tech environment, having knowledge of 10th plus 2 standard level is very enough. There is no need for specialized knowledge on all these subjects apart from optional subjects. Now, when it comes to optional subjects, for optional subjects, it requires specializations to the degree of actual college degree. Clear? To the degree of undergraduate level, that is honors level, not postgraduate level or PhD level. Just adequate knowledge in your undergraduate level is very necessary for optional subjects. So, based on the demands of UPSC, structure your study plan accordingly so that for core subjects you don't go in depth on on a particular topic so that you don't waste your time and you don't waste your time as well as your resources. And for optional subjects, you have to study for based on graduate level. Now, looking at the syllabus of UPSC, don't get yourself weighed down by looking at the bulk of the syllabus of UPSC. See here, especially if you are new to UPSC, I have this analogy. Whenever you are entering for UPSC, you'll be entering for it will be the equivalent of entering into sixth standard. But the UPSC examination will be out of the standard of 12th standard. So obviously, if you are entering into UPSC field as a sixth standard kid, if you're looking at the 12th standard question paper, you won't understand a thing. Clear? You'll feel that you can't clear this exam, but the syllabus is very vast and very tough. But if you understand the process of UPSC, if you understand that you have to stay consistent and graduate gradually from 6th standard to 7th standard, from 7th standard to 8th standard, if you understand this process, that UPSC is not a one night study examination, rather, it's a process over a period of time. You will understand that you have to graduate from 6th standard to 7th standard, from 7th standard to 8th standard. If you are understanding that, preparing for UPSC becomes much easier, and you will not get weighed down by the weight of UPSC syllabus. Clear? So the next one is you have to watch your routine when it comes to UPSC preparation. See, one of the biggest roadblocks when it comes to UPSC CS preparation is time management. As I mentioned before, you have to stay consistent with your UPSC preparation. That is, if you are reading for 6 to 8 hours daily, you have to read 6 to 8 hours daily for UPSC preparation consistently over a period of say 10 to 12 months. Now, if you are not managing your time efficiently, what you will do is you will prepare for 20 hours one day. You won't prepare if you are preparing 20 hours for one day. You feel yourself, you let yourself burned out, and you won't prepare for the next week. If you're not preparing for the next week, you will forget the stuff that you have studied previously. So that's why you have to stay consistent. Now, one of the roadblocks for staying consistent is time management. Clear? So you have to understand your biological needs. For every person, their peak concentration time is very different. For me, my peak concentration time is during 6 to 8 p.m. Clear? So you have to understand your peak concentration time. Based on that, you have to structure your study plan accordingly. Clear? Now, when it comes to UPSC preparation, being serious about UPSC examination requires a steady focus. Thus, it requires separate timetable. As I mentioned in the previous point, you have to prepare separate timetable daily based on your biological needs as well as your personal needs. For example, if you want to go to your marriage or if you want to attend to your friend's uh, party or something like that, just allocate time to that. Based on that, you rearrange your timetable accordingly, but stay consistent in that. Clear? You have to study for UPSC at least 6 to 8 hours daily. Clear? For the rest 10 for the rest 10 to 12 hours, you can focus on other stuff, but you have to study for UPSC for 68 hours. Now, based on that demand, you have to structure a study table accordingly. You have to accommodate your biological needs as well as your personal needs. Clear? Now, the process and individual timelines may vary, but working out strategy for the time management is essential for everyone. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, last minute cramming has hardly worked for any CSC candidates. Clear? If you are just what to say, if you are not serious for UPSC preparation for about say 8 months, but for last 2 months you were serious about UPSC and you are what to say you are focusing so much on UPSC, prepare for 12 to 14 hours a day. This will hardly ever work for any UPSC candidate. You have to prepare consistently over a period of 1 year, and these two things are very important. First, you have to take breaks when it comes to UPSC preparation. See, no human being can live without taking breaks. Yeah. So if you are preparing for UPSC, take an occasional day out, go to some other place, spend time with your family, friends. If you have any marriage that you have to attend to, don't cancel those events just because you are preparing for UPSC. After all, humans are social beings. So taking breaks is very essential when it comes to UPSC preparation, so that you don't let yourself getting burned out. The next one is be flexible. As I mentioned before, be accommodative of your personal needs as well as your biological needs, and prepare your timetable accordingly. The next one is practice makes everything perfect. Now, what do I mean by practice makes everything perfect? So, if you're preparing for say UPSC prelims, you have to you'll be preparing for subjects like polity, science and tech, and you will acquire vast knowledge on these subjects. But acquiring knowledge is not enough for UPSC. So UPSC examination is 50 percentage hard work, 50 percentage hard work, and 50 percentage is smart work. Clear? Now this hard work part comes from studying daily, 60 hours daily on particular subjects. Now, but this 50% smart work comes from practicing yourself. Clear? UPSC is half about hard work and half about smart work. The hard work part comes from studying UPSC syllabus daily. Now the smart work part comes from practicing yourself with the needs of UPSC examination. For example, if you are preparing for UPSC prelims examination, you'll be studying information on polity, science and technology, and you'll accumulate a lot of information with regards to these two subjects. Now, when it comes to UPSC, acquiring information is just not enough. Clear. Now you have to test your knowledge based on the needs of examination. Now, how do you get to test yourself based on the needs of examination? By taking mock tests conducted by an academy, and by conducting this mock test, you have to assess yourself in what areas I'm falling short of. Clear. Now, by taking this mock test, you'll assess yourself in what areas you're falling short of. And not only that, by taking these mock tests, you'll get to revise all the stuff that you have learned earlier. Clear. So these are the two advantages of taking mock tests. The first one is you get to test yourself based on the needs of based on the needs of based on the needs of examination. The next one is you get to revise topics the question is based from. Clear? So these are the advantages of taking mock tests. Now this is for prelims test only. Now when it comes to mains test is also similar in nature, where 50% is hard work and 50% depends on your sorry for that 50% depends on your answer writing. Clear? So when it comes to mains preparation, similar to prelims, you get to learn a lot of information, but learning this information is not enough. You have to test yourself by taking mock mains answer writing practice. See here, UPSC mains examination is for 3 hours. Now in these 3 hours, UPSC asks about 20 questions. Okay, now 3 hours is 180 minutes. Now you have to write for 20 questions. So if you divide 80 divided by 20, so for one question you will get around 9 minutes. So you will get around 9 minutes for reading the question, understanding the question, as well as for writing what is required for that question. Clear? Now in this 9 minutes, 1 minute will go for reading the question as well as to understand the question, understand the demands of the question that UPSC has asked for. Now, so it leaves us with 8 minutes for writing 2 pages of answer. Clear? Now, if you're not practicing enough with the answer writing, within 8 minutes, it's difficult for you to write 2 pages of 20 questions. It's very difficult for you. Trust me, every student who is new to new UPSC examination during his first during his first mains answer writing practice, he will write only to about 1 to 12 questions. Now, this is me being generous. Most of the students will, based on my experience, most of the students will attempt only about 8 to 10 questions. Clear? Now, how can you increase from 8 to 10 questions to 20 questions? This comes only by practice, nothing else. Clear? This will come only by practice. Not only that, within this 8 minutes, you have to structure your answer better. Your presentation has to be very crystal clear. All those things. How do you think within 8 minutes you can do all those things? It can come only by practice. So that's why practice in UPSC is very essential. So this is one of the way to make yourself more consistent with UPSC preparation. Okay. Not only that, UPSC website has storage bank for previous year question papers. So if you have time after reading some topics on particular subjects, just take a look through all the previous career question papers that UPSC has asked. Now rarely UPSC will ask same questions that has been asking from previous question papers, but by assessing these previous year question papers, you can learn what type of questions that UPSC is asking. Clear? If you understand what type of question that UPSC is asking, you can understand the demands of UPSC examination and what UPSC expects from you. Yeah. So that's why taking a look through previous year UPSC question papers is very important when it comes to UPSC preparation. Now I will give you an example on why practicing yourself is very important. Okay. Now take a look at this prelims question. Now this question states that which of the following agencies come under the definition of state under Article 12. So just by looking at the question, this particular question concerns with the topic in polity, Article 12. Okay. And the question is asking that which of the following agencies will come under Article 12. So now if you attempt this question itself, you will test your knowledge on Article 12. Yeah, just by attending this question, you are getting to test yourself based on your knowledge on Article 12. Clear? If you look at the question itself, the answer for this question is all of the above. Clear? Now, if you look at what Article 12 says, Article 12 says that state includes government as well as Parliament of India, legislature of each state as well as union, and all other local authorities within the territory of India, which will come under the control of Government of India. Clear? Article 12 concerns with the definition of states. It provides a definition of state. Now we have discussed what is the definition of state. Clear? Now if you are attempting this particular question, even if you don't know what Article 12 is, and after attempting this question, you have to going back to Lakshmikant and you're reading about Article 12, you get to learn about what Article 12 is. Clear? Now, in most of the institutes' mock tests, what they will do is they will ask the questions, they will conduct tests. After conducting tests, they will give explanation notes for you. Clear? They will give you explanation notes. Now, in these explanation notes, they will provide you explanation on what is the answer for this question. Clear? Now, if you read this explanation, one, you get to revise on this particular topic, and even if you don't know about this particular topic, you get to learn about this particular topic. Now, in this case, in the particular Supreme Court's R.D. Shetty versus Airports Authority of India, Justice P.N. Bhagwati has given 5-point test to determine whether an agency's state will come under the definition of state or not. The first requirement is if a body is getting financial resources from state, where the state is the chief funding source or the entire share capital is held by the government. If that is the case, that body will come under the definition of state. Clear? And if a body has a deep pervasive control of the state, in that case, that body also will be termed as state. Functional character being governmental in its essence, meaning thereby it will have a public importance or of general governmental character. Now take a look at BCCI. Clear? Now this BCCI is a private organization. According to BCCI charter, it's a private organization. Okay. Now, recently Supreme Court has said that BCCI will also come under the definition of state under Article 12. Now, you might have familiarized yourself with Justice Lodha Committee, Justice Lodha Committee recommendations on BCCI reforms. Now, when this Justice Lodha Committee was appointed by the Supreme Court, BCCI in Supreme Court argued that BCCI is a private organization. It cannot be considered as state under Article 12. So it argued that Supreme Court has no mandate appointing Justice Lodha Committee. So when it comes to reforms in cricketing world, BCCI is the sole proprietor when it comes to reforms for BCCI. Now, Supreme Court examined those arguments and they immediately dismissed those arguments, saying that BCCI represents India in global stage when it comes to sports. Since it is performing governmental function, BCCI will also come under the definition of state under Article 12. So that's what this part is about. Yeah. Just to, now in this question, apart from the what is it static stuff that we'll be reading from Lakshmikant, if you attempt this question and if you understand why BCCI will come under the definition of state, you are reading a bit about current affairs as well. See, that's the beauty of current affairs. Current affairs, if you are reading alone, if you are reading just current affairs, you won't understand a thing. Especially the editorial parts, you won't understand a thing. Current affairs derive lot of information from static part. Clear? What we learn in your Lakshmikant book, in your Coach Lian book, from these informations, only current affairs will be based on. Like for example, there can be current affairs on disqualification of MLAs in Karnataka Assembly. Clear? There can be a question. There can be a topic in newspaper about disqualification of MLAs in Karnataka Assembly. In newspaper, they will discuss only on the what speaker has done, all those things. If you just read that particular news clip without understanding the background on what will constitute as disqualification for MLAs and who has the power to disqualify MLAs, all those things, without any static knowledge, reading this particular newspaper clip is very difficult for you. You won't understand a thing. So that's why you have to combine static part as well as current affairs part. Now, this merger between static as well as current affairs, this understanding gets tested in UPSC mock tests as well. Clear? Now, the next third point is a department of government transferred to a corporation. Clear? There are a number of government agencies that has been transferred to a corporation. Like for example, ACBI, all these organizations have been transferred to a corporation. Now these things also will come under the definition of state under Article 12. Now when a particular entity enjoys monopoly state, which states conferred or is protected by it. Okay. There are certain areas in India during 2000s and all, defense production was monopolized by organizations like DRDO, Bill, all these people, all these organizations have monopoly on defense production. Clear? Now, even though these organizations technically will come under the definition of private organizations, even though they are receiving funds from the government, they can be these organizations also can be included under the definition of state under Article 12 because these organizations enjoys monopoly status because this monopoly status is conferred by the government upon them. Clear? So that's why these organizations will also come under the definition of state under Article 12. Now let's take a look at another example. Which of the following grounds can be used for granting reservation for a particular set of people? So whenever I'm talking about a reservation for a particular set of people, I will immediately go back to two articles, that is Article 15 as well as Article 16. Okay. When it comes to reservation, these are the two articles that will deal with reservation. Article 15 as well as Article 16. Now let's take a look at what Article 15 as well as Article 16 talks about. Now, according to Article 15, nothing in this article shall prevent a state from making any special provision for women as well as children. Clear? So, if you look at the question itself, so gender can become a basis for reservation. For example, 33 percentage of seats in local self-government is reserved for women. Now, this is a reservation based on gender. So, 3 is correct. Now, if you look at the second provision, nothing in this article or in clause 2 of Article 29 shall prevent the state from making any special provision for the advancement of any socially or educational backward classes of citizens or for scheduled caste as well as scheduled tribe. So, this particular clause is saying that nothing in Article 15 or Article 29 can prevent state from providing reservation for backward classes as well as scheduled caste as well as scheduled tribe. So, caste can become a reason for providing reservation. Clear? For example, 27 percentage reservation is provided for OBCs in government employment, and SC/ST gets reservation when it comes to government employment as well. So, caste can become a basis for providing reservation for a particular set of people. Now, the next one. According to Article 16, we have done with Article 15. According to Article 16, nothing in this article shall prevent Parliament from making any law prescribing in regards to class or classes of employment or appointment of an office under Government of India or any local or authority within a state or unitary, and any requirement as to reside within a particular state or union territory prior to such an employment. So, what this clause is saying is that Parliament can pass laws stating that state can grant jobs based on a particular residence. Clear? For example, for states like Telangana, Jammu, union territories like Jammu and Kashmir, Constitution has allowed for these particular states as well as union territories to grant reservation based on their residential status. So, residence can also become a basis for granting reservation for when it comes to particular jobs. So, what is the answer for this question? The answer is D, 1, 2, and 3. So, which grounds cannot be used for granting reservation? Religion cannot be used for granting reservation, as well as race cannot be used for granting reservation. So, just if you solve this question, you get to test your knowledge based on Article 15 as well as Article 16. Not only that, even if you don't know about Article 15 as well as Article 16, once you solve this question and you are reading those explanation notes, you get to familiarize yourself with the concepts of Article 15 as well as Article 16. Yeah. So excuse me. So now the next important point when it comes to staying consistent in UPSC preparation is revision is a priority. Clear? The first point is, for the first reason why you have to revise yourself regularly is the length and the breadth of UPSC examination requires regular visits as well as to study material. See, as I mentioned before, there are 6 core subjects in UPSC preparation. Apart from these 6 subjects, there are other minor subjects like internal security, agriculture. These are minor subjects. So, and apart from that, we have optional subjects as well. Yeah. And within this 1 year, you will be reading a lot of stuff. So, apart from reading about all these stuff, you have to remember all this stuff then on the, if you only if you're remembering, you can attempt this. Uh, you'll use this knowledge in your UPSC examination. Now, to remember all the information that you have studied in these subjects, revision is very important. Without revising, you cannot remember much of the stuff that you have much of the stuff that you have studied for the first time. So that's why revising all the topics again and again, multiple times, at least 2 to 3 times, is very very essential when it comes to UPSC preparation. Now, importantly, your preparation schedule should cover the time needed to revise multiple times as well. So, if you are preparing timetable, apart from preparing timetable for the time required for studying for the first time, you have to allocate some time for revising as well. So, prepare your study plan accordingly so that you can accommodate your revising time as well. Clear? So whenever you are reading for the first time, it is important to highlight important passages or make quick notes for quick look at the exam date. So whenever the exam date is nearer, you can't read an entire book. So that's why whenever you're reading for the first time or even if you're revising, highlight some important points or make quick notes using sticky notes. My uh, Especially for optional subjects and all, I use a thing called as sticky notes. Yeah, if I read a particular page, I will write important points from that page and I'll stick to that particular page. Okay, so that during examination time, it becomes for me much easier to revise all the particular topics concerned. Okay, next one is taking notes. Clear? Whenever you are studying for UPSC, it's very helpful to make short notes during UPSC preparation. Now, whenever you are taking notes, one thing is you are you're making your revision part much easier because rather than going through the entire book again, if you revise your notes, your revision part becomes much easier. Not only that, if you're studying orally and then you're taking notes, you get to remember all the information that you have studied much easier because you're writing it as well. So it stays in your mind much longer. Now, since UPSC syllabus is very vast, it helps you to keep track of portions covered and also serves as a ready-made material for revision. Clear? And you can have separate files or notebooks for separate subjects. Then this is very important. Don't write everything in a single particular note. Keep separate notes for different subjects so that organizing your notes becomes much easier. Clear? Now, the next important part when it comes to staying consistent in UPSC preparation is don't lose control of yourself. Okay. What do I mean by don't lose control of yourself? One of the common complaint that students feel that once they have started preparing for UPSC, uh, after 2 weeks they feel a phenomenon called as getting burned out. Clear? Now, what is this burned out? Burned out, as the dictionary refers to, is a phenomenon where a person is unable to concentrate on their work or study. Clear? This is a phenomenon where the students are unable to concentrate on their study. Now, there are a number of reasons why students are unable to concentrate on their study. Those three reasons include lack of sleep, lack of motivation, clear, and lack of social well-being. These are number of reasons why students feel a phenomenon of burned out. Now, what are the ways by which you can deal with this burned out? Clear. First, you have to acknowledge the situation. Clear. First, you have to acknowledge the situation that you are feeling burned out. So you have to acknowledge that preparing for UPSC is an emotionally, physically, as well as mentally very draining experience. It's unable for you to maintain concentration consistently over a period of 12 months. So if you are feeling burned out, what I am suggesting you is take a time out. Take a time out. Spend 2 3 days on your family, or take a vacation, or spend time with your friends. After 2 3 days, just don't extend your vacation for longer period of time. After you're feeling comfortable with your comfortable with your situation, that you're confident that you can ready to come to your study again, start your preparation again. Clear? So during a period of if you are preparing UPSC for consistently, you will feel this phenomenon of burnout at least every 2 months. Clear? Every student will face this problem. Now, whenever you are facing this problem, according to the situation, take a time for yourself, focus on your hobbies, all those things, and work on yourself. Yeah. Only when you are doing these things, you can solve this problem. Without according to the situation, you won't be solving the problem. Yeah. Now the next one is time management is therefore very important for developing effective timetable, keeping in mind needs of your health as well as your social well-being. Okay, prepare a timetable, and in that timetable accommodate time certain breaks as well as allocate some time for your friends and family. Okay. Now whenever you are feeling this phenomenon of burned out, try these things. Take a short walk in open, do physical exercise daily, engage in your hobbies more. See, hobbies are very important for UPSC preparation. Okay? UPSC is not just about the information that you have learned; it's about your overall enrichment. Clear? In overall enrichment comes from both studying as well as working on yourself. Now, studying comes from preparing for UPSC, but working on yourself part comes from concentrating on your hobbies. Clear? The UPSC is not just it's not an all-consuming examination. You have to concentrate on other things as well. Yeah. Now, the next important thing is setting small, realistic, and achievable goals for a day, month, or a week. Clear. So whenever you are preparing timetable, what timetable you'll be preparing? What are the things that you have to study today, right? So whenever you are setting a goal for a particular day, don't set a goal for a lot of stuff. Clear? Set goals which are very realistic, which is correct for you. Clear? And based on your demand as well. See, for example, I'm a slow learner. I can read only up to say for example 20 pages per 2 hours. My friends can read around 40 pages per 2 hours. Now the demands for me and my friend is completely different. Yeah, he can set a goal of studying 2 lessons in one day, but I can only set demand for reading one lesson for one day. Clear? And so based on your demand as well, based on your capacity as well, set realistic time targets based on your capacity. Don't set targets which are not achievable for you. So whenever you're setting targets which are not achievable for you, you will lose hope that you're not reading properly. Clear? And you will get stressed out that you're not following to your timetable properly. So don't do that. Set achievable goals for your preparation. And most importantly, you should not cut off your social life. Now, this is one of the prominent myths when it comes to UPSC preparation. The number of toppers also perpetuate this myth that they have completely cut off their social life. I completely gone AWOL and then I'm prepared UPSC all alone. I prepare for 20 hours a day, 16 hours a day, blah blah blah. Now, I'll tell you from my experience, all these things are complete rubbish. No person can exclude himself completely out of his social life. Clear? Human beings are emotional beings. We require our social well-being as well. Clear? Taking care of your social well-being is very important. We are emotional beings. Okay? We have to take care of your emotions, and emotions can be kept checked only if you are with your friends and family. So spend some time with your family as well as your friends, and acknowledge the situation that you require some personal time as well. Understand that you should spend time on your personal things as well. Just don't focus on UPSC preparation all the time. If you're doing that, you will get burned up very easily and in much sooner manner also. Clear? Now the last important point is stay healthy and stay engaged. Clear? So what do I mean by stay healthy and stay engaged? Eat properly. Clear? Hmm? Just because you're preparing for UPSC doesn't mean that you should not eat properly or you should not you should not maintain a proper eat schedule. Eat at proper timetables. For example, I will eat at 8 a.m., 1 p.m. and then 7 p.m. Maintain this schedule regularly. Just because you're preparing for a particular day doesn't mean that you can procrastinate your particular meals for a day. If you are doing that, you are not, if you're not maintaining the health of your body, and if you're not being healthy, you cannot concentrate on your studies. Clear? So staying healthy is very very important for UPSC preparation. So eat a lot of fruits, nuts. Clear? All these things are very important. Take a lot of vitamins, foods which are very rich in vitamins, omega 3 acids. Clear? These things are very important for UPSC preparation so that your cognitive functions will remain alert all the time. Clear? Your brain has a certain capacity. So, for example, if your brain has 100% capacity, whenever you are reading, you have to make sure that your brain is at 100% capacity. So, how do you ensure that this brain is working at 100% capacity? You have to eat healthy, focus. You have to focus on your social life. See, your brain requires variety. Your brain should it requires diversity in your task. If you're reading constantly for every day, your brain will become monotonized. It won't be working in 100%. Rather, it will be working in, let's say, 50% or 60%. So, what will you have? Studying for 20 hours in 50% brain capacity, or studying for 6 hours in 100% brain capacity. If you're doing this part, you're wasting a lot of time as well. Not only you are not being healthy, you're wasting a lot of time for yourself as well. Not, but if you are doing this, studying 6 to 8 hours in your 100% capacity, one, you are saving a lot of time, and you're studying similarly as well. Because, for example, so if you're studying at 50% capacity for 20 hours, let's say you'll be studying 4 chapters. But if you're studying at 100% capacity for 6 to 8 hours, you'll be studying the same 4 chapters because your brain is functioning at 100% capacity. Okay, so staying healthy and taking good care of your health is very important when it comes to staying consistent in UPSC preparation. Okay, and it's also very important not to ignore your communication skills as well as your emotional well-being. Eat well, sleep well, engaging yourself in other activities, and don't let yourself weigh down by the weight of examination. As I mentioned before, especially for freshers, you are entering into 6th standard. Don't look at the syllabus of 12th standard and get weighed down by it. You have to work on yourself. You have to graduate from 6th standard. First, you have to read NCRTs. If you read NCRTs, you will graduate from 6th standard to 7th standard. After reading NCRT, you have to read Lakshmikant. If you are doing that, you will graduate from 7th to 8th standard. You have to practice yourself regularly. If you are doing that, you will graduate to 10th standard. Gradually, day by day, month by month, you will graduate. Yeah. So you have to understand that UPSC is a process. UPSC examination is a process. It's just not a one night or a 1 month thing. It's a long and lengthy process. Now this long and lengthy preparation requires for you to stay consistent. So acknowledge that situation and don't get yourself weighed down by the burden of UPSC syllabus. Clear? Now importantly, now the demand of UPSC examination is that UPSC examination is designed so that candidates' efforts, dedication, strategizing, planning, logic, as well as his analytical powers and overall quick thinking are prioritized over his knowledge. Clear? UPSC is not only testing yourself for knowledge, but it is also testing based on your analytical thinking, your planning, your strategizing, all those things. Okay. What is really important to achieve all these things? Properly planning yourself, prepare a proper timetable, engaging in social activities, all those things. So these are very important for UPSC itself is demanding these things from you. So it's important that you stay healthy as well as engaged. Clear? Now ultimately UPSC examination is just an examination. Clear? It's not end of all things. UPSC preparation is simply boils down to polishing your knowledge that you would have anyway imbibed you as a student, as a citizen of your country. Yeah. Now, these information you should read about this stuff as a citizen of your country itself. Now, UPSC preparation is just that. As a citizen of your country, you have to learn about all these things. Yeah. Just because you're studying for UPSC doesn't mean that you should study for this information. You should study this information because you're also a citizen of India. Understand that fact first and foremost. So that don't dwell on the vastness of syllabus, but rather concentrate on how to get your world better. Clear? Stay inquisitive. Clear? Enjoy all the things. You can learn from UPSC everywhere. Yeah. For example, if you're walking to a movie, if you're going to a movie late night and you're returning into a movie late night, you're returning to your home late night. So while you're returning to late night, there will be a lot of uh, sewage workers that will be working in your city, as well as cleanliness workers who will be cleaning the roads, all these things. During midnight only they will clean. Clear. Now, if you observe these people, you can understand. You can see what are the shortages that these people are facing. Clear. Now, if you understand the needs of these people, you can immediately remember a particular act which concerns with them. Clear. Abolition of manual scavenging act. So just by walking in the streets, you can learn about UPSC. Yeah. So UPSC is not just about preparing for UPSC. It's about getting to know about the world better. Yeah. Now the last important point is newspaper reading. See, especially for the last 3 to 4 years, students will read newspaper for the first 2 to 3 months. After that, they completely neglect newspaper reading. After that, they'll focus only on compilations, current affairs compilations provided by IAS academies. This is a very wrong practice. Newspaper reading provides you with a lot of advantages. One, you get to learn about current affairs. You will learn about what are the happenings around the world, and your language skills will improve. Now, this language skills will be very important when you are in your mains answer writing, but also in your interview. Okay. Not only that, when you're reading compilations, you will be reading only information which is very important for UPSC examination. But there are a lot of other information which is not important for UPSC examination. Like, for example, an article about a particular book, an article about a particular movie, sports news. All these things are very important. If you're reading all this information along with the information what that is required for UPSC, reading current affairs will become much more enjoyable manner. Yeah, reading current affairs will become much more enjoyable than it currently is. If you're reading just the compilations, there won't be a lot of diversity in the topics that the compilations will provide you with. But if you're reading newspaper, it gives you an all-round understanding on happenings around the world. Clear? Even if the topic is not important for UPSC, it is important for you to understand this information to get to know the world better. Okay, so that's why newspaper reading is very important. It develops your inquisitive skills as well. You will ask a lot of questions when you are doing newspaper reading regularly. So if you are inquisitive in nature, when in UPSC preparation, you will stay engaged as well as motivated. Now, this is very important for staying consistent in your UPSC preparation. So that's it with this video. I hope I explained all the things that is required for you to stay consistent in UPSC preparation. And at the end of the day, remember that UPSC is just an exam. Yeah, it's not the end of all things. Yeah, prepare UPSC thinking that UPSC is just an exam. Not all aspects of your life is dependent on it. Yeah, stay consistent in UPSC preparation, that is given, but UPSC is just an exam. Yeah, stay consistent and stay healthy. Thank you, and don't forget to hit the bell icon for notifications, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And if you are subscribing to Unacademy Plus subscription, don't forget to use my code ARAVINDV so that you get 10% discount on your payments. Clear? So thank you and have a nice day.